So I'm going to share 5 learning points I wish I had known earlier when using Midjourney, and these tips could speed up your workflow, improve your art generation and enhance your character art. So what is Midjourney? It's an AI generator. It uses AI and machine learning to generate images based on text and prompts, and the results with Midjourney can be really breathtaking. As a newcomer to Midjourney, when using the free introductory service, I would often lose my generated artwork in one of the newbie channel streams. I was fairly new to Discord, and when entering a newbie channel you feel kind of swept away by the amount of artwork being generated. There's lots of users generating artwork at once, and your art generation can soon get lost in that stream. I ended up trying to scroll up and down the channel and losing time in trying to find where I typed in my last prompt. So one way you can navigate in that stream is to use Shift function and down arrow on the Mac, and that gets you to right to the end of the stream, jumps you to the end, or you can use Shift End on a PC. So another helpful thing is the search in the top right. Just be mindful to search in a particular channel. So if I'd lost this artwork in the feed, beautiful starry sky, what I would do is I would type in colon name of the channel, newbies-27, use the search text of starry sky, and it shows the most recent entries for that search text at the top of the hits, and then I can jump to that in the feed. Now if you are a paid subscriber to Midjourney, your art can be generated using the chatbot in your own direct messages, and that really solves that problem of sort of losing your art in this gigantic stream. It's just your own work being generated, and it's a lot easier to deal with. But please note that your art is still public and posted to your gallery, unless you use one of the private options, which is an additional cost to the Midjourney, one of the Midjourney plans. Number 2 is frame shapes. One thing I didn't catch on to straight away was the fact that when you generate with Midjourney the artwork, by default a square frame, and I didn't realise that you had any control over that until I discovered a switch that could do otherwise in the command prompt. So with a square frame shape, that can be useful. So if you're thinking about composition, it's great for static, solid subjects, but with artwork, if you can choose your frame shape, that's even better. So if you have a rectangular frame shape, that's often used for landscapes, for terrain-based artwork, whereas vertical orientation frames, portrait frames, are often used for portrait images, or perhaps an image of a city street where the elements of that artwork are more vertical. So it's great that you can use the AR switch to define what kind of aspect ratio you need for Midjourney. So here's one piece of artwork I generated, just putting in the input text. Beautiful Lake District scene, which is a large national park in the in the UK, and came out with something quite incredible as a result. And in this case, I used AR with a 3:2 ratio. And in this one, I went the other way. A picture of a wet New York City street using the aspect ratio of 2:3. And with this one, I used the default square ratio, where you don't need to use the AR switch. And I asked for an isometric plan of a pyramid. Came up with this. So that's a summary of the rule of thumb for frame shapes. Number 3, Midjourney, and this goes for other AI art generators as well. They're not very good with dealing with feet and hands, and for this input I wanted hobbit feet, and this is one of the results that I got. You can kind of see how it's tried to show some toes, but it's looking quite bizarre as a result. Another option it gave me for the same input text was this, which is more like a shoe than feet, but I think it's still trying to produce those toes in a very odd and quirky way. For hands, I put in the input text of 2 elves doing a high five after a battle, and this is the result. So with hands, I've often seen Midjourney just kind of miss detailing the hands altogether. So sometimes you just won't see any fingers at all, or a single pointy thing that might be a finger. And in this case, it seems to have successfully produced a hand here on one of the elves, on the right hand elf here, but the fingers look a little bit broken and out of place. For this one, I put in the input text of hobbit handshake with elf close up, and it came up with quite a munged up result. Another learning point that I came across really helped with character artwork was face fixing with GFP GAN. So GFP GAN is another AI utility that can repair. It was designed and built to repair old photographs in seconds, and it would very cleverly sort of fill in cracks, and it would put in the pixels of the damaged areas of the photo and complete that face, and it does a very good job. And I found a friendly free interface that uses GFP GAN, and I'll leave the link in the description of the video. Now I would say it does a pretty good job. So for this example here, you can see the eyes are not really, one of the eyes has been deformed here, and the lips aren't quite complete. And once it goes through the GFP GAN routine, it does a good job at restoring the sort of corrupted parts of the face, and here's some more examples of that. So on the left hand image, it started off in quite a deformed kind of way, especially with the lips and the teeth, and you can see how GFP GAN seems to sort of smooth the face out as well as repairing it. It kind of softens it, takes away some of the detailing as well. So that could be a little bit of a disadvantage, and it doesn't really fix anything to do with hair. It really focuses and concentrates on fixing challenges with the face. And you can see it doesn't fix everything. So if you have a face that's set on the side, if you get a side view of the face, and you don't really have the complete view of the face with the face fronting the camera, then in this example it didn't really fix anything at all, and I don't think there was enough reference there for it to recognize this face in order to fix it. So it's not good for everything. The fifth learning point I found was the remaster button, which is a relatively recent feature to Midjourney as of September 2022. So what does remaster do? It makes an existing generated image in Midjourney more photorealistic, more cohesive, I would say. It gives it more details, and particularly with character faces, just improves those faces. It's a case of finding where that remaster button is. So first of all, you have to upscale the image first before that remaster button appears. And it's really good at sort of rescuing images that you've previously generated that you would otherwise just discard. So in this example, I think my input was again two elves doing a high five after a battle. It's quite painterly, it's quite non-photorealistic, and the characters are certainly very abstract. But by the time the remaster has been applied, the characters are looking much better, more defined, there's more detail going on, and it's something that you could, this image that can now be sort of worked with a bit better. And you can see how it softens some details as well. So this is a really good example of how it turns something of a character's face that was initially generated by Midjourney, that was something that was quite non-photorealistic, even though I used for the input text, I used the word photorealistic. But using the remaster button, it came up with a character face that was much more pleasing, more cohesive, and the whole image has improved as a result. It's less wonky. Here's another example. You can tell that on the left that the image, particularly the mouth, is quite badly formed with this generation. But with the remaster button, it really pulls this picture together and provides something much more cohesive again and more photorealistic. In some cases though, I think if you have a more abstract artwork, it doesn't necessarily improve it. It may actually make it worse. So I would say that the image on the left, the original image, is better than the remastered image on the right in this case. You can see how it's been softened up, and actually there's less detail here, particularly on the sort of abstract mountain, and on the sphere, that's been softened up as well. The clouds have gone in the other direction. There's a little bit more detail on the clouds, and you can tell that they've been mastered in such a way that you can identify them perhaps more as clouds, and they become a little bit more realistic. So I think with more abstract artwork, it doesn't necessarily rescue the image. It may sort of go in the other direction. So I'd like to invite you to join our free forum, Digital Art Live Studio. Inside you'll find live workshops that we broadcast most weekends, private coaching groups where we dive deep into various digital art applications and topics, helping you to transform as an artist. And we even have a monthly PDF magazine with a selection of free past issues. So join us using the link in the description below. I hope you liked this video. Please subscribe to my channel. I put in the word input text of subscribe, just that single word, into Midjourney, and these are some of the images I got in return. Still quite beautiful, quite exciting artwork even for keywords that you wouldn't necessarily think would produce anything at all.